It's getting crazy out there, folks. This is a wild one today, so make sure you share, comment, and do all of that stuff. Activists have now taken to openly supporting violent criminals and even murderers. You've seen this video, I think, right? This is in Park Slope in New York. This woman comes up, pulls out a gun, shoots and kills, executes her ex-girlfriend in broad daylight. Not to be worried, the activists are taking to defending her as well. You see, she's a victim in all this too. I'll get to why in a moment. It's going to blow your mind, as will a lot of stuff on this video today, and that's why I hope you share it along with a friend. This goes back to Ma'Khia Bryant. She is the young girl, the 16-year-old in Columbus who was shot and killed by a police officer. She was shot and killed, of course, because she was in the middle of a wild stabbing spree and probably going to kill somebody else if the officer didn't fire 4 shots at her, which ended said stabbing spree before it got much worse than it could have. But here's how people in Columbus responded. Not by saying, well, at least it wasn't worse. At least those 2 girls didn't get stabbed. Maybe we can acknowledge this is much different than the George Floyd case. No. In fact, they said an eye for an eye. You shoot us, we're going to shoot you. Watch this craziness.
In a 242, is this what it's coming to here in America? God damn! United States of America! We're not gonna sit here and just sit around while you shoot and kill us and go back in the suburbs.
Over nothing, huh?
What did you do?
Over and over. Keep killing us.
Over and over.
We in this stuff.
Maybe it needs to be an eye for an eye, y'all.
Right here, listen.
Yes, sir.
They shoot us. We shoot them.
Ow.
We patrol our whole community. Right. Somebody reach out for help. We come. Right.
You shoot us. We shoot you.
This is how they responded in Columbus and other areas across the country to the shooting of Ma'Khia Bryant. You're not crazy. Stop feeling like you're crazy. I know it's easy to feel crazy sometimes because they are the people who invented the term gaslight, gaslighting you on a daily basis. Here it is. Ma'Khia Bryant had the knife out. She attacked not one girl, but she was headed for a second. She was on a violent rampage. It is unfortunate that she died or that any of this happened to begin with, but it did. And the officer responded as best he could with such little time and information when he arrived on scene. Yet people are still defending her. Now, mind you, there are some bright spots, like over on CNN, Don Lemon and Chris Cuomo. They're at least out there admitting, hey, we got to be honest on this. It's not like George Floyd. This is different. There's more nuance in this. And the officer responded to the scene in front of him. This scene right here. But over at Ohio State University, the students are demanding the college sever ties with Columbus police. And they gathered by the hundreds with staff and more to acknowledge that Ma'Khia Bryant should not have been killed and that cops from Columbus need to get off Ohio State's campus. Look how many there is. What happens if you do that, by the way? Imagine the cops are like, all right, you know what? We're backing out of OSU. If you have any problems, well, you heard the first guy's advice. You're going to police your own neighborhood. Let's see how that goes for you. There is so much more. Here's another protest for Ma'Khia Bryant. And this is people who are saying her name in the streets and talking about her. This is after the body cam footage was already released, and as was this, Ma'Khia should be in school today. Hashtag say her name. They cut that part out. You get it. This is how it was working all over the place, people taking to the streets. I don't know if these people, I don't know if they haven't seen the video yet. I don't know if any of these people have watched what happened or read anything other than the Huffington Post or now this, but it's very disconcerting. Again, this one is a chant of she was 16 in just a second here. You see hundreds and hundreds of people. And I'm about to blow your mind in a second, so don't go anywhere. She was a child, they're saying. All right, so they came out in droves to support Micaiah Bryant, even though she was trying to stab people. And in all reality, I don't know, I guess it would have been a win for them if the officer didn't shoot and the other girls got stabbed. That seems pretty crazy to me. Activist thinking seems insane to me in that circumstance. A former prosecutor even said 16-year-old Micaiah Bryant wasn't the original aggressor if she called 911, and they go down to this exact point. She explained if the girl, Micaiah Bryant, is the one who made the 911 call, that changes everything, because that tells me that at some point she was afraid of a knife attack if, in fact, that was her making the call, where she's begging an officer to come to the scene because someone has a knife and is attacking her and others. Well, I'll hold you to those words because I think it's going to come out that the opposite is true. And then what do you say about that? But we take it further. I'm not going to show you this video, but odds are you've seen it. In New York City, this woman right here runs up behind somebody else. They're both black women that were in a relationship with one another. This one has pulled a gun on their unsuspecting ex and shoots and kills and executes them right in the street. Insanity, right? There's nobody out there that could defend this, right? Suspect seen in chilling video executing ex-girlfriend on New York street ID. She admitted to it and everything. New York City Council candidate blames intergenerational trauma for daylight execution. The woman who admitted to gunning down her ex-girlfriend execution style in Park Slope should be treated as a victim of intergenerational trauma who deserves compassion, a candidate for New York City Council has suggested. Brandon West, candidate for District 39, was endorsed by AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the AOC-backed Democratic Socialists of America, railed about Wednesday's broad daylight shooting that left Nichelle Thomas, 51, dead. But he blamed the cold-blooded killing not on the brazen shooter, but on a system. The system, you see, it's so perniciously racist, it even made her kill her ex-girlfriend. She admitted to this slang afterwards. Here's the tweet storm from this guy that I want to show you here because this is just absolutely badass crazy. There has been a coordinated effort to fearmonger over recent increase in shootings to justify spending more money on police and consequently less on social services and mental health programs. However, people don't just wake up one day and choose to commit homicide. People grow up in hostile and toxic environments. They experience abuse and poverty and receive minimal help or education from professionals in the government. This can lead to them having undiagnosed, unsupported mental and material issues that end up perpetuating violence. If we work towards catching these problems earlier, we'll see a substantial decline in all forms of person-to-person violence. Conversely, having beat cops on every corner of the city is not only impractical, but it won't solve this problem. Here it is. We can only progress if we recognize that even murderers and abusers are victims, as they're usually suffering at the hands of complex, emotional, and intergenerational trauma, which compels them. This intergenerational trauma compels them to commit awful acts. We should uplift compassion and understanding above all else. Imagine being a family member to this ex-girlfriend who was shot and killed on the street in a domestic fit of rage and hearing that the person with the gun was the victim. But this is what these folks, some of them, are openly suggesting and cheering. And it goes back a long ways. You have Mumia Abu Jamal, who was somebody who was a cop killer, who's been brought up by people in far left circles for quite some time by now. So is this what we're looking at? Is this what we're dealing with now? Are we dealing with people so far away from reality that there is no nuance in this? That eye for an eye is the answer? That we should defend people who are committing violent acts on others and even defend murderers? If that's not crazy to you, I don't know what is. But that's a snapshot of today for you. What do you think? Give me your comments in the thread below. I'd appreciate them. Whether you agree or disagree, that's fine. And if you like this, there's videos every single day just like it. Whatever is going on in the world is right here. Facebook.com/TheNewsJunkie. Hit that follow button for the daily videos. Over on YouTube, it's YouTube.com/TheNewsJunkie. Hit subscribe there. I look forward to your comments. Thank you for sharing this video, and I'll talk to you again real soon.